starting off, give us a view of what's going on out there from the enterprise perspective. We had Palo Alto Networks days ago missing on some sales execution issues as they try to shift more to cloud footing. VMware similarly had some mixed results last week. We talked to Pat Gelsinger. Their mix was more towards SaaS. Now, you guys, how is this cloud transition affecting you and your hardware sales?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show this morning. Well, let me characterize a little bit our quarter, and then I can put that in context. I thought that we had a mixed quarter, obviously, because our revenue was down 7% on the back of a soft compute performance. However, we actually made tremendous progress on the key strategic areas where we saw continued growth on our pivot as a service. We continue to gain momentum, which is one aspect of how we provide these cloud experiences, where we saw 48% growth on our GreenLake offer, which is our consumption-based model. And starting last quarter, we provided an insight on a key metric, which is the annualized run rate revenue, which is up 19%. And we continue to make great progress in all the key focus areas where we drive innovation for our customers, whether it's high-performance compute, whether it's hyper-converged or big data storage. But also what I was really pleased about was the growth that we saw in an intelligent edge. We believe the intelligent edge is the next big opportunity where the cloud has to move where the data is created. And that business was up 4%, but we grew in all geographies and double digits in our Aruba products. We saw an impact on our supply chain driven by commodities constraints, and then obviously as we enter Q2 because of the coronavirus. But that said, our compute performance was in line with what we saw in the market, or actually better, because our performance was better than some of our competitors. So we have to get through this period of time, and then obviously continue to drive these edge-to-cloud platform as a service experiences that the customers are demanding.
Yeah, I hear that, but I'm hoping you could give me a clearer view on both the pluses and minuses of this transition, because similarly, Palo Alto Networks was incentivizing its sales force to chase new cloud business, which is good, but at the same time, its core business suffered. I'm wondering how much that's a similar storyline to what you're seeing. You talk about those strategic areas where you're looking for growth. That's happening, but at the same time, is that same cloud transition a big part of what's hurting your core business, perhaps a little bit more even than it's helping the growth areas?
Well, let me put this in perspective. We had solid demand. We couldn't ship everything we had in our books in Q1. Obviously, we entered the Q2 with a larger backlog than we anticipated. There is no confusion of the fact that the cloud continued to grow, but we see growth also on-prem as well through the instantiation of this as a service model, and we see significant growth as well at the edge. So ultimately, we live in a hybrid world, and customers want a hybrid set of solutions, and that's why our GreenLake offer provides them a consumption-driven model from the edge to cloud, inclusive of the off-prem solutions, and that's the opportunity for us as we go forward. And so far, we haven't seen tremendous impact on the demand outside China. And that's why we are confident in our ability to deliver the guidance we gave at the beginning of the year on EPS.
Antonio, I want to go back to the supply chain constraints for a moment. I mean, given the fact that the company is exposed to China in part through its supply chain, how are things playing out in terms of coronavirus and the impact there? And given the fact that we're talking about an outbreak on the heels of all of the trade war dynamics that played out last year, are you considering changes to your supply chain in general?
Yeah, obviously, there is no doubt the coronavirus is having a short-term impact, and we are working with each of our suppliers to navigate through this period. I have to say all our suppliers are back online. Some of them way above, the 50% mark. Some are, are continuing to improve. But the good news is that all our suppliers are back online. Now, let's remind ourselves that this is a very lengthy supply chain. Even our suppliers are dependent on other suppliers. Sometimes, what we call the tier 2, the tier suppliers. But we have a very robust global supply chain. Just to give a perspective, Morgan, we ship 3 servers every 10 seconds. And when you go to an impact like this, it takes a little bit of time to re-energize, reactivate the supply chain. But we feel pretty good on the momentum. Obviously, we have to work with them day in, day out, and we have plans in place to navigate through it. But also because of our footprint, we are able to move productions and products across our global footprint.
That's helpful perspective on the supply side. Finally, tell us about demand, because you did say that there was some trouble closing some deals, and maybe that was coronavirus related. You said just now that you don't see tremendous impact on demand outside of China, but give us some color on what kind of impact you are seeing and what, if anything, you can say you expect to tip those customers over to the side of going ahead and signing the deals.
Well, one side I'm confident about is that, as I said earlier, we had what I call stated demand in our Q1, and unfortunately we couldn't, fulfill all that demand in Q1, and that's why we entered Q2 with a larger backlog than anticipated. So far, I will say, still steady, and we see the demand continuing because of the amount of data we are creating every single day. We see significant momentum in AI, machine learning, big data analytics type of solutions, as well as connectivity-driven type of solution. That's why our Aruba portfolio is so powerful, because it's a cloud experience that you can provide connectivity at the edge with the right type of computing at the edge as well. So we feel pretty good about that. Obviously, we need to see what happens in the next few weeks, but so far so good. In China, obviously a little bit different story, as you said, John. At the end of Q1, we saw the outbreak of the coronavirus, and that coupled with the fact that they were on Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year vacation. And so we expect a little bit shorter term impact there. But we have a unique setup in China, which is through our joint venture with a partner in China who has done very, very well. And that's why in Q1 we record the record-breaking earning interest, because that business has done very well. So I feel pretty good. Eventually, our Chinese partners will get back to where they need to be. And so far, we don't see a tremendous impact on the rest of the world because of the data and because of the needs on these digital transformation journeys customers are going on.
Right. Well, Antonio, we appreciate every little piece of data you're able to give us on this complicated and just confounding situation that continues to unfold. Antonio Neri, the CEO of Hewlett Packard Enterprise.